Hello everyone, my name is Elspeth, this is the Planeswalker Pantheon, and today we are going to be opening up 53 packs of Kaldheim on Magic the Gathering Arena. I pre-ordered 50 of these packs through one of the pre-order bundles that you could get on Arena prior to the release of Kaldheim on Arena, and if you input the code PLAY Kaldheim in a single sentence, you'll also get 3 extra packs. And enough about that though, let's get into opening. So we've got our commons here. We've got a Village Rites, Depart the Realm, Grim Drauga. I love this snow frame here, by the way. Not Void Recluse, Glacial Floodplain. Our uncommons are Nico Defies Destiny, Icebind Pillar, and our rare is a rare wildcard. Next pack. Got a Draga Recruiter, Guardian Gladewalker, Carfeld Kennel Master, Rumwood Falls, Provoke the Trolls, Basalt Ravager, and our rare is Cosmos Charger. So for 3 in a blue, you get a creature horse spirit to 3/3 with flash and flying. Foretelling cards from your hand cost 1 less and can be done on any player's turn, and you can foretell it for 2 and a blue. I don't know how to sort of rank the foretell mechanic offhand right now. I want to see it in action first before I develop an actual opinion on it. Our commons here. Got our Divine Gambit and Frost-type Arcanist as our uncommons, and our rare is Old Growth Troll, which I think is going to see some play in some mono-green food decks. So for triple green, you get a creature troll warrior. It's a 4/4 with trample. When Old Growth Troll dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield. It's an aura enchantment with Enchant Forest you control, and Enchanted Forest has tap and add 2 green, 1 and tap and sacrifice this land, create a tap 4/4 green troll warrior token with trample. Alright, next pack. Got our commons here. Our uncommons are Elven Bow and Poison the Cup, and our rare is Realm Walker. So for 2 and a green, you get a creature shapeshifter. It's a 2/3 with Changeling. As Realm Walker enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells of the type from the top of your library. Alright, we have Masked Vandal, Seize the Spoils, Open the Omen Paths, Broken Wings, Doomscar Oracle, Immerstrom Karen, Skull Karen, Giant's Amulet, and our rare is the Raven's Warning. So for 1 a blue and a white, you get a saga. On its first chapter, you create a 1/1 blue creature token with flying, you gain 2 life. The second chapter says whenever 1 or more creatures you control with flying deal combat damage to a player this turn, look at that player's hand and draw a card. And for the third chapter, you may put a card you own from outside the game on top of your library. Alright, next up. Got Fearless Hero commons here. Our first uncommon is Arnie Slays the Troll. I think that's a bit of a Terminator joke. So for red and a green, you get a saga. Target creature you control fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. For the second chapter, you add red mana, put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target creature you control. And the third chapter is you gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. And our rare is Saraf Realm Eater. So for 1 and a black and a green, you get a legendary creature wolf. It's a 3/3. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on Saraf Realm Eater. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Saraf has 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may remove all of them. If you do, exile each non-land permanent with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of counters removed this way. Alright, next up. We have a Giant Ox, Fearless Pup, Doomscar Oracle, Alpine Meadow, Freya Judge of Valor is our first uncommon, Aegir the Freezing Flame is our second uncommon, and our rare is Kavoldi, God of Kinship, Kolvori. It's a legendary creature called God. It's a 2/4. As long as you control 3 or more legendary creatures, Kavoldi gets +4/+2 and has Vigilance. For 1 and a green and tap, you look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a legendary creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. It could also be the Ringheart Crest. So for 1 and a green, you get a legendary artifact. As it enters, you choose a creature type. Can tap to add green. Spend this mana to cast a creature spell of the chosen type or a legendary creature spell. So that'd be really good, I think, in, what do you call it? The legendary that searches for, Captain Sisay, thank you. So our commons here, Disdainful Stroke is back, which is always good to see. Our uncommons are Axeguard Armory, Giant's Amulet, and our rare is the World Tree. So it's a land that should have been a legendary land. I know it feels bad, but it should have been legendary. The World Tree enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap to add green. As long as you control 6 or more lands, lands you control have tapped to add 1 mana of any color. And for 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, and 2 green, tap and sacrifice the World Tree. Search your library for any number of god cards, put them onto the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. Alright, what have we got now? Got our commons here. We've got Raven Wings, Dwarven Reinforcements, Haggy Mob, Pilfering Hawk, Roots of Wisdom, Valkyrie Sword, and Lijara Mirror Lake are our uncommons, and our rare is Tyrite Sanctum. So for tap and add a colorless, you can tap it for a colorless, or 2 and tap, target legendary creature becomes a god in addition to its other types. Put a +1/+1 counter on it, and 4 and tap and sacrifice the Sanctum, put an indestructible counter on target god. Alright, let's see what else. Beskir Shieldmate, King Harold's Revenge, Guardian Glade Walker, Immerstream Raider, Seize the Swirls. Our first uncommon is Ascent the Worthy. So for 1, a black and a white, you get an uncommon saga. For the first 2 chapters, choose a creature you control until your next turn. All damage that would be dealt to creatures you control is dealt to that creature instead. And for the 3rd chapter, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a flying counter on it. That creature is an angel warrior in addition to its other types. I love this artwork, by the way. It's really nice. We've also got Vega the Watcher. So for 1 white and a blue, you get a legendary creature Bird Spirit. It's a 2/2 with flying. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you draw a card. So Foretell is a great example. And we've got our first mythic. It is Komar Cosmos Serpent. So for 3, 2 green, 2 blue, it's a legendary creature serpent. It's a 6/6 which can't be canted. At the beginning of each upkeep, you create a 3/3 blue serpent creature token named Koma's Coil. Sacrifice another serpent to choose 1. Tap target permanent. Its activated abilities can't be activated this turn. Or Komar Cosmos Serpent gains indestructible until end of turn. Alright, what have we got next? Got our commons here. Got a Weathered Runestone. I think this is like a slightly upgraded Grafdigger's Cage. Actually, no, Grafdigger's Cage costs less. I can't remember which one's better offhand. But non-land permanent cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. We've also got the uncommon land, Skemfar Elder Hall. So you can tap it for green, or for 2 and 2 black and a green, you sacrifice the Elder Hall. Up to 1 target creature you don't control gets -2/-2. You also create 2 elf tokens as well. And our rare is Doomscar. So for 3 and 2 white, you get a sorcery, destroy all creatures, and you can foretell it for 1 and double white. Our next pack is we've got our commons here. Oh, I like these new treasure tokens. Those are really cool. Arcanoform. We've got our Sulphurous Mire. Poison the Cup, which is basically our murder for the set. And our rare is the Bark Channel Tide Channel Pathway. I love these new artworks. And there's the new dual-face cards that we didn't get from Zendikar Rising. Got our commons here. Behold the Multiverse actually looks pretty good. Our uncommons, we've already seen this, but Spirit of the Elder Guard. So for 3 and a green, you get a snow creature Bear Spirit. It's an 0/4. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a snow land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. It gets +1/+0 for each other snow permanent you control. And our rare is the Icebreaker Kraken. So for 10 and 2 blue, you get a snow creature Kraken. It's an 8/8. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each snow land you control. When it enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target opponent controls don't untap during that player's next untap step. Return 3 snow lands you control to its owner's hand. Return Icebreaker Kraken to its owner's hand. Alright, so we've got our commons here. I love this artwork by Igor Kurilik. Our first uncommon is Tegrid Shadow. So for 3 and 2 black, you get an instant. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures and can foretell it for 2 and 2 black. Saw It Coming, which I'm surprised I have not used as a name for a counter spell as of yet. 1 and 2 blue, counter spell, target spell, and you can foretell it for 1 and a blue. And our rare is Tusky, Bearer of Secrets. So for 3 and a green, it's a legendary creature, Squirrel. It's a 1/1 with Indestructible. It can't be countered. Tusky, Bearer of Secrets attacks each combat if able. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Alright. And that was another nice reprint to see back all the way from the original Theros block. Our first uncommon is full of the imposter, so for 1, a green and a white, you get a saga. For the first and second chapters, you put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. And for 3, the third chapter, exile a creature with the greatest power among creatures target opponent controls. We've also got Kai's Onslaught, so for 2 and a white, you get an instant. Target creature is +1/+1 and gains double strike until end of turn. You can foretell it for a single white. And our rare is Cyclone Summoner. So for 5 and 2 blue, you get a creature giant wizard to 7/7. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, return all permanents to their owner's hand except for giants, wizards, and lands. So it's the giant Cyclonic Rift, quite literally. Here are our commons here for the next pack. Got the Great Hall of Starnheim, which it's the black uncommon land. It taps for black, or for 2 white and a black, sacrifice the hall and a creature you control. Create a 4/4 white angel warrior token with flying and vigilance. And we've also seen the Elder Hall. And our rare is Righteous Valkyrie. I'm kind of interested in this for Historic Soul Sisters, which is a deck that I've been playing a fair bit of. So for 2 and a white, you get a creature, Angel Cleric. It's a 2/4 with flying. Whenever another angel or cleric enters the battlefield under your control, gain life equal to that creature's toughness. As long as you have at least 7 life more than your starting life total, creatures you control get +2/+2. Always love a good anthem effect in those sorts of decks. And because we're doing it on our own pretty easily, it's pretty easy to hit. We've got our commons here. Vengeful Reaper, which is a really nice, cool angel, to be honest, with, all those keywords, right? So for 3 and a black, you get a creature, Angel Cleric. It's a 2/3 flying, death touch, and haste. You can foretell it for 1 and a black. We've also got Marja, Birthguard Protector. So for 2, a green and 2 white, you get a legendary creature, Human Warrior. It's a 2/3. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 Human Warrior creature token. And our rare is Bigri, God of Storytelling. So for 2 and a red, you get a legendary creature, God. It's a 3/3. Whenever you cast a spell, add red mana. Until the end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Creatures you control can boast twice during each of your turns rather than once. So this is nice in a little boast deck. Or it can be Harnfell, Horn of Bounty. So for 4 and a red, you get a legendary artifact. Discard a card. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. Next up, here are our commons here. Death Knell Berserker is a new one that we haven't seen, as is Glittering Frost, but another saw it coming, an uncommon wildcard. And our rare is Dream Devourer. So for 1 and a black, you get a creature, Demon Cleric. It's an 0/3. Each non-land card in your hand without foretell has foretell. Its foretell cost is equal to its mana cost reduced by 2. Whenever you foretell a card, Dream Devourer gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So it's an interesting little combination, actually, I think. Alright, so we've got Bind the Monster, which is a new uncommon we haven't seen yet. We've got Binding the Old God, so for 2, a black and a green, you get a saga. The first chapter lets you destroy target non-land permanent opponent controls. The second chapter has you search a library for a forest card, put into the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. Note, all of the dual snow lands have basic land types, so you can actually search, because it doesn't say basic, you can actually search for any of the green snowlands, green non-basic snowlands. And 3 creatures you control gain death touch until end of turn. We've also got the Colossal Plow, so for 2 mana, you get an artifact vehicle. It's a 6/3. When it attacks, add 3 white and you gain 3 life. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana until as steps and phases end, and it cruises for 6. And our rare is Elvish Warmaster, so for 1 and a green, you get a creature, Elf Warrior. It's a 2/2. Whenever 1 or more other elves enter the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green Elf Warrior creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. And for 5 and 2 green, elves you control get +2/+2 and gain death touch until end of turn. Alright, what have we got next? God's Hall Guardian is a new common, as is Smashing Success and Vault Robber. We've got a Doomscar Titan, so for 4 and 2 red, you get a creature, Giant Berserker, it's a 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn, and you can foretell it for 4 and a red. Our rare is the Darkboar / Silverboar pathway, which is another one in the dual land cycle. Alright. Demonic Gifts is a new common that we haven't seen yet. Got Invasion of the Giants, so for a blue and a red, you get a saga. The first chapter allows you to scry 2. Second chapter has you draw a card, then you may reveal a giant card from your hand. When you do, Invasion of the Giants deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. And the third chapter says that the next giant spell you cast this turn costs 2 less to cast. We've also got Dwarven Hammer, so for 2 and a red, you get an artifact equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, you create a 2/1 red dwarf berserker creature token and attach the hammer to it. Equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has trample. And our rare is Cosmos Elixir. So for 4 mana, you get an artifact. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. If your life total is greater than your starting life total, otherwise you gain 2 life. So you draw a card if your life total is greater than, say, 20. Otherwise, you gain 2 life. Alright, next up. Oh, we've got a whole heap of new commons here. So we've got Saros Packmate, Frostbite, which I love this card, Funeral Longboat, Axeguard Braggart, and Tuskeri Firewalker. We've got a Rune Crown, so for 3 mana get an artifact equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library, hand, and or graveyard for a rune card, put onto the battlefield attached to the crown. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, and you can equip it for 2. It's a neat little equipment actually to pair up with the runes. Anyways, and our rare is Calamity Bearer. So for 2 and 2 red, you get a creature Giant Berserker. It's a 3/4. If a giant source you would control, you would deal. If a giant source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. Alright. Next up. We've got Feed the Serpent, which is a new common here, as is Ravenous Lindworm. We've got the Rune of Speed, so for 1 and a red, you get an enchantment or a rune. You can enchant a permanent. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gains +1/+0 and haste. As long as enchanted permanent is an equipment, it has equipped creature gets +1/+0 and haste. I like the fact that runes can attach to itself to any permanent, so it just doesn't let it sort of rot in your hand. I mean, at worst, you can put it onto a land. Our rare is Icebreaker Kraken, which we've already seen. Next up, we've got Infernal Pet and Coma's Faithful as our newest uncommons. We've got Bretagar Stronghold, which enters the battlefield tap. You can tap to add green. For green and 2 white, you sacrifice the Stronghold, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. They gain Vigilance and Lifelink until end of turn, and you activate as a sorcery. Our rare is Starnheim Unleash. So for 2 and 2 white, you get a sorcery. You create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. If the spell was foretold, you create X of those tokens instead, and the foretell cost is X, X, and white. So who loves Entreat the Angels? I know I do. I like myself a little Entreat every now and again. We've got no new commons, but we do have a Harold King of Skemfar. So for 1, a black and a green, you get a legendary creature elf with menace and as a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an elf, warrior, or Tyvar card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And our rare is Sigrid Godfavored. So for 1 and 2 white, you get a legendary creature, human warrior. It's a 2/2 flash and first strike. Has protection from god creatures. When Sigrid Godfavored enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target attacking or blocking creature until Sigrid leaves the battlefield. Next up, Invoke the Divine and Sculptor of Winter are 2 new commons. We have Finn the Fangbearer. So for 1 and a green, you get a legendary creature, human warrior with 1/3. It has Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control Death Touch does combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. A player 10 or more poison counters loses the game. Note, poison and infect are 2 different things. Infect cares about the power and toughness of the creature with infect. Poison is capped off, I believe, at 2, regardless of how much power and toughness there is. I believe that's how it works. I'm not that old of a Magic player. Our rare is Blessing of Frost. So for 3 and a green, you get a snow sorcery. Distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of creatures you control, where X is the amount of snow mana spent to cast the spell. Then draw a card for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. Next up. No new commons, no new uncommons, but our rare is Glorious Protector. So for 2 and 2 white, you get a creature, Angel Cleric. It's a 3/4 with flash and flying. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile any number of non-angel creatures you control until Glorious Protector leaves the battlefield, which is really neat. And you can foretell it for 2 and a white. Next up. No new commons. Our first uncommon, though, is Cardiva's Vicious Return. So for 2, a black and a red, you get a saga. The first chapter has you sacrifice a creature. When you do, it deals 3 damage to any target. For the second chapter, each player discards a card. And for the third chapter, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it gains haste until your next turn. We also have Bloodline Pretender. So for 3 mana, you get an artifact creature Shapeshifter. It's a 2/2 with Changeling. As it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Whenever another creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Bloodline Pretender. And we've got a mythic rare wild card. Snakeskin Veil, Stalwart Valkyrie, and Way Down. Ooh, Way Down. Our new commons. We've got a Clarion Spirit. So for 1 and a white, you get a creature spirit, which is a 2/2. Whenever you cast a second spell each turn, you create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. We've also got Trick to God's Heist. So for 2, a blue and a black, the first chapter has you exchange control of 2 target creatures. You may exchange the control of 2 target non-basic, non-creature permanents that share a card type. And the third, the target player loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. And our rare is Ascended Spirit. So this has been rumoured to see potential play in Spirits in Modern. So for a single blue mana, you get a snow creature spirit. It's a 1/1. For 2 snow mana, Ascended Spirit becomes a Spirit Warrior with base power and toughness 2/3. For 3 snow mana, if it's a warrior, put a flying counter on it and becomes a Spirit Warrior Angel with base power, toughness 4/4. If you pay 4 snow. If Ascended Spirit is an angel, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and it gains, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. No, you can pay any of you can pay that last ability multiple times, so you can actually always guarantee to have that, when it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card ability come into effect, which is something I've actually just learnt recently. Alright, so Dread Rider and Bound in Gold are our new commons. We've also got a Fearless Liberator here, so for 1 and a red, you get a creature Dwarf Berserker. It has both, so for 2 and a red, you create a 2/1 red Dwarf creature token. We've got Agar, and our rare is a rare wildcard. No new commons, no new uncommons. Let's just jump to the rare, shall we? We've got the Reckless Crew, so for 3 and a red, you get a sorcery. You create X 2/1 red Dwarf Berserker creature tokens, where X is the number of vehicles you control, plus the number of equipment you control. For each of those tokens, you may attach equipment you control to it. It's a neat little idea, actually, instead of some Voltron-y style deck. Anyways, we have Warhorn Blast, Frostpeak Yeti, and Dogged Pursuit as our new commons. Our new uncommon is Crush the Weak, so for 2 and a red, you get a sorcery. Crush the Weak deals 2 damage to each creature. If a creature is dealt damage this way this turn, exile it instead. You can foretell it for a single red. And our red is another big God of Storytelling. New common of Strategic Plan, which is a nice reprint for the set. Our rare is another Coma Cosmos Serpent. Man, they must really want me to build a Brawl deck for this. I mean, I won't be against it. I mean, who doesn't love a good Verdant Force, right? Battlefield Raptor, the best Stormcrow ever. Thank you. Miss of Liljara is also a new common, and our rare is another Dark Boar Sliver Boar Pathway. Next on up. Drago Thought Thief and Demon Bolt are our new commons. We have no new uncommons. Let's jump to the rare. We've got the Blight Step / Seer Step Pathway. New uncommons, we've got Boreal Outrider. So for 2 and a green, you get a snow creature elf warrior. It's a 3/2. Whenever you cast a creature spell, if snow was of any of that spell's colors was spent to cast as that creature, enters the battlefield with additional +1/+1 counter on it. And we have Svala Ice Shaper. So for 1, a red and a green, you get a legendary snow creature troll warrior. It's a 2/4. For 3 and tap, you create a color snow artifact token named Icy Manolith. With tap, add 1 mana of any color. And for 6, a red and a green, you get to tap it and look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may cast a spell from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And our rare is Showdown of the Skulls. So for 2, a red and a white, the first chapter allows you to exile the top 4 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. And the second and third chapters say, whenever you cast a spell this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. I've got a new uncommon here of Rune of Might. So for 1 and a green, you get enchantment or a rune. You enchant a permanent. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. As long as the enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+1 and has trample. As long as the enchanted permanent is an equipment, it has equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample. Our rare is Dragonkin Berserker. So for 1 and a red, you get a 2/2 creature human berserker with first strike. Both abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate for each dragon you control. And for 4 and a red, you create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. Next up. A new common is the Rune of Flight. So for 1 and a blue, you get an enchantment or a rune. Enters the battlefield, you draw a card. As long as the enchanted permanent or equipment is it's attached to it, the equipped creature has flying. And our rare is another Showdown of the Skulls. Story Seeker is our new common, and we've also got a new and uncommon Hailstorm Valkyrie. So for 3 and a black, you get a snow creature Angel Wizard with flying and trample to 2/2, and for 2 snow mana, Hailstorm Valkyrie gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And our rare is Blightstaff Seer Step Pathway. A new common is Yala the Forsaken. A new uncommon is Shepherd of the Cosmos. So for 4 and 2 white, you get a creature Angel Warrior. It's a 3/3 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target permanent card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You can foretell it for 3 and a white. Our rare is actually a mythic. It's Resplendent Marshal. So for 1 and 2 white, you get a creature Angel Warrior with flying. It's a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield or dies, you may exile another creature card from your graveyard. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, other than the Marshal that shares a creature type with the exiled card. Alright, next up. New commons are Undersea Invader, Struggle for Skemfar, and we've also got a new uncommon in Forging the Tyrite Sword. So for 1, a red and a white, the first two chapters let you create a treasure token. And for the third one, you can search your library for a card named Halvar, God of Battle, or an equipment card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle your library. And our rare is Over the All Form. So for 3 and a blue, you get a legendary creature Shapeshifter. It's a changeling and has 3 power, 3 toughness. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets one or more other permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. Whenever a spell or an ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, create a token that's a copy of target permanent. Alright, next up. We have a new uncommon in More Light of the Frost. So for 2, a green and 2 blue, you get a legendary snow creature Shapeshifter with changeling. May have More Light of the Frost enter the battlefield as a copy of a permanent you control, except it's legendary and it's snow in addition to its other types. If it's a creature, it enters with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it and has changeling. Our rare is Freya's Retribution. So for 1, 2 white and black, the first chapter has you create a 4/4 white Angel Warrior creature token with flying and vigilance. The second chapter says, until end of turn, angels you control gain tap, destroy target creature with power less than this creature's power. And the third chapter says that angels you control gain double strike until end of turn. Next up. No new commons, no new uncommons. Let's just jump straight to the rare. We have an Ascended Spirit, which we've seen already before. Got 10 packs left. Tormentor's Helm is our new common. Got a new uncommon in Blood Sky Berserker. So for 1 and a black, you get a creature human berserker. It's a 1/1. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put 2+1/+1 counters on Blood Sky Berserker. It gains menace until end of turn. So this can scale actually pretty quick, actually. We've got Draugr's Helm as well. So for 1 and a black, it's an artifact equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 and a black. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie berserker creature token, then attach the helm to it. Creature gets +2/+2 and has menace, and you can equip it for 4. Our rare is another Bragi. Alright, let's see what else we got. Raven Form is our new common. Got Battle Shield Warrior, so for 2 and a white, you get a creature human warrior, it's a 2/2. It boasts for 1 and a white. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. And we've got the Rune of Mortality, so for 1 and a black, you get enchantment or a rune. As long as enchanted permanent or enchanted equipment it's attached to it, they give it Death Touch. And our rare is Freya's Retribution. Freya's Retribution. Alright, no new commons, no new uncommons. Let's just jump straight to the rare. It's Realm Walker, which we've already seen. Got a new common in the Woodland Chasm, so it's the Black Rain dual land. Got a new uncommon in Rune of Sustenance, so for 1 and a white, you get an enchantment or a rune. Enters the battlefield, draws a card. As long as the enchanted permanent is a creature, it has lifelink. As long as the enchanted permanent is an equipment, the creature has lifelink. And our rare is Old Growth Troll. Alright, I've got a new common in Squash, which I'm surprised I haven't used that as a name back in Lorwyn for this similar sort of effect. And our rare is Battle for Bretgard. So for 1, a green and a white, you get a saga with 3 chapters. The first chapter has you create a 1/1 white human warrior. The second chapter has you create a 1/1 green elf warrior. And then the third chapter says choose any number of target artifact tokens and or creature tokens you control with different names. For each of them, you create a token that's a copy. Next up. Got a Frenzied Raider, so for 1 and a red, you get a creature demon berserker. Whenever you activate a boast ability, put a +1/+1 counter on Frenzied Raider. Our rare is Blessing of Frost, which we've already seen. Got Run Amok as our new common. Usher of the Fallen, which is a new uncommon. So it's a 2/1. You can also boast to create a 1/1 white human warrior creature token. And our rare is the World Tree, which we've already seen. I wish they made the World Tree legendary. Like, it just boggles my mind that it was not created to be a legendary land, but that's just me talking. Alright, we've seen all these cards before. Let's go to the rare. It's a rare wild card. Next up, I've got a new common here in Valor of the Worthy. We have Carador the Dune Scourge. So for 2, a black and a red, you get a 4/3 legendary creature, Human Berserker. When it enters the battlefield, until your next turn, creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. Whenever an attacking creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And our rare is the Blood Sky Massacre. So for 1, a black and a red, you get a saga. The first chapter has you create a 2/3 red Demon Berserker creature token with menace. Whenever a Berserker attacks this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And the third chapter says add red for each Berserker you control until end of turn. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Here is our last pack, guys. I hope you've been enjoying this so far. Alright, so no new commons, no new uncommons. Let's just jump straight into the rare. It's another Blood Sky Massacre. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe to the channel. Now that draft is back on, I will actually have some more interesting draft stories to tell as I open product, so that's great. I can't wait for pre-release, although by the time you see this, our pre-release hasn't happened yet because I'm in Australia and there was some shipping issues that caused us to have to push our pre-release back. But don't worry, you will get pack openings very soon, I promise you. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later.